Michael, were you born in Ukraine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you think about what's going on right now in Ukraine?
I don't think I have a very informed perspective on what's going on. My big concern, my background, we talked before, I did a book on North Korea called Dear Reader about Kim Jong-il. And my big concern is that we're facing a replication of the Korean War. In the Korean War, you had North Korea with the great leader Kim Il-sung, backed by Mao and Stalin, China and Russia respectively. You had Syngman Rhee in the south, backed by the U.S. and the UN. And what ended up happening is the Korean peninsula was leveled, and the devastation for the people was enormous. So I'm very concerned that there is enormous pressure, understandably, to not reach any kind of settlement, and that the people who are going to end up paying the price are the Ukrainian people. That's my concern.
People who are going to end up paying the price are Ukrainian people if they don't find a way to settle.
Or even, it seems like there's no good solution here.
Right.
Because if they're settling and you're going to say, okay, not you, I mean, the argument is you're validating Putin's aggression. He's going to do it again. That's a fair argument. Then it's like, well, you can't settle, not give an inch. But then like, yeah, but we're here in America. We're not paying the price.
But in an anarchy philosophy, you got to kind of leave it alone, right? And let them kind of do their own part.
I don't think this is really a question of libertarian, Republican, Democrat, or anarchist. I think this is just a question of, right, what is the facts of the matter? And I don't think I have the facts on this issue.
How is that possible? It's like your homeland. Like if something happens to
This is my homeland.
No, I get
left
that.
here.
But I get that. But like even, is there any affinity to Ukraine for you?
None.
Zero.
No, we spoke Russian.
Got it.
I don't even speak Ukrainian. So
You were born in Ukraine.
but I left when I was 1.5, so it's not like I have fond memories. And it's not like we left because it was so great.
Yeah.
And again, but this was the Soviet Union. So Ukraine in 78 is going to be very different from Ukraine in 2023. And also Moscow in 78 is going to be very different from
That's
Moscow.
a little strange, though. You're a pretty well-read guy, and you're a pretty smart guy. To say, I don't like, I don't have any opinion on the country I was born in. That's going like it's the topic of discussion on every single channel right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there, so let's. Do you support the fact that U.S. is giving the kind of money they're giving, and they're helping them out in this war, in a proxy war type of a thing that's going on? Do you support that?
I don't know, because I don't know where this is going. Are we going to say that we're going to just fund it interminably?
Yeah.
Because that seems to be the premise, in which case the Ukrainians are going to be emboldened to fight. And then one day, what are we going to do? Cut and run? And then they're left holding the bag. So that is my concern.
Okay.
Here's the thing. It's not like Ukraine, Russia, or the U.S. are going to somehow disregard the legitimacy of government overnight. So this is not a situation where there's like an anarchist answer, or I'm in a position or an authority to speak for anarchism.
Then if that's the case, the anarchy will never happen if that's the case.
It's happening right now. This is us. This is anarchism.
No, but this is at a very, very low level. Anarchy, well, let me rephrase that. For anarchy to happen at the highest level, based on what you're saying, it'll never happen.
But there is no highest level under anarchism. The whole point is that if you want to say that anarchism can only work in a small community, fine. Let us have our community and leave us alone.
Okay, so that's what you are. Then you would much rather have your own community. You go live in with a bunch of anarchists, and you guys create your own guidelines. You got land. You're happy with that.
They don't have to be anarchists. I mean, it doesn't. Here's the thing. Do you regard
if they're not anarchists?
Hold on. Let me ask you.
If one of them is. If one of them is ambitious and he says, look, I have ambitions, in an anarchy system, that guy's eventually going to go and say, here's what I think we should be doing. And if that guy's got better ideas than yours, or is better at selling it than you, then eventually it's going to convert into a different kind of a government when you die.
Not necessarily, because I don't.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'll answer.
I'd love to hear it, yeah.
Better ideas are not the ones that always win out, as prohibition demonstrated, because then we repealed it several years later. There's many examples in the markets where bad ideas work for a temporary period, then they're rejected. But let me just speak to your point earlier. If the Chinese government right now passed a law that said everyone has to wear orange all the time, would you regard those laws as valid?
If China did what?
If China passed a law, an edict that said everyone on Earth has to wear orange, would you find that as legitimate?
It'd be weird.
That's not what I asked you. Would you regard as legitimate? Would you start wearing orange?
No.
Why not?
Because they don't look Dutch.
Is that true? They wear orange in Holland?
I wouldn't wear it. It's why I'm not living there.
Right, but why wouldn't you wear it?
I like my choices.
Okay, but do you regard that law as legitimate or not?
No.
Okay, so all anarchism says is that it regards Washington's laws as legitimate as those of Beijing.
You can say that all you want. All I'm
Thank
saying
you.
to you is you
And I will.
You should.
This
You
is
should.
anarchy.
But you should say that. That's great. But to think that this is at the top level, you know. So if I ask you those questions and then I say, well, what do you think about what's going on with Ukraine? And well, I'm not educated enough to give some. Okay. But you're from there. Yeah, but I'm an American myself. I understand that, but you're from there. Yeah, but I left when I was a year and a half. I don't even remember anything. I'm more like I speak Russian. Okay, I get that. But you have these ideas of anarchy. In a situation like anarchy, what should happen over there? Well, we're not there right now for us to give that opinion. Then your argument loses weight because it can only that argument can only be sold in low-level conversations, not at high-level conversations. A conversation that carries weight and momentum is got enough backing to say it would work. If right now, let's just say the world was ran this way, here's what would happen between Russia and Ukraine. Leave them alone. Okay, then Ukraine would become Russia. Well, that's their business.
That's not it at all. My point is, I think it's important when someone gets on a mic to come at it from an informed perspective. And I think just because an issue is very popular in the news, that does not mean that it's... Are you going to let me finish or not? That does not.
Shaking my head doesn't mean you can't finish.
Fine. It doesn't mean that I have to have an opinion on every single issue. And I think a big problem in our culture is that everyone feels to have an opinion on every single concern. I'm not a Ukrainian. I'm not in Eastern Europe. I've never stepped foot there since I was 1.5. So I agree with you. I don't know how anarchist principles would happen in the middle of a war between Russia and Ukraine. I don't know who the good guys are.
Then it's a good conversation to have, to go on shows and all this other stuff, but it doesn't carry enough weight on its own to rule or to have a country around it. That's kind of what you're saying.
But it's not. I'm saying it wouldn't be a country. It's a relationship. So number one. And second of all, hold on. I don't think that if the U.S. was communist, fascist, liberal, conservative, progressive, I don't think any of those would inform the question of what should the U.S. do vis-a-vis the Ukraine and Russia. It's not a function of what government we have, what the right thing to do is over there.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.